side of all of this that data professionals have to get to and senior leaders.
Those are the kind of guys that will be early adopters with their literacy programs.
Analytics, storytelling that you do need to bring into the curriculum, that they are as close to the network of driving that culture. Go into that a little bit. So what we've seen over the last 3 years, there was the initial awareness phase. So people intuitively knew there's a problem. They couldn't put a name to it.
Yeah.
They couldn't understand what that gap in adoption is. Why are people not using this great stuff we had? And then once you articulated it, they understood it, and they went, yes, we need that. And then there was almost the next phase of getting broader buy-in. And there we saw sort of two things branch off. People went, we are actually going to three things. We're going to pause because we're busy with the data governance, we're busy with cleaning our data, or we're busy with dashboarding, but we should get back to this. And we're starting to see some people loop back to that now. The second group went, yes, we want to do this, however, we need to put it in the budget for next year. So there was almost a delay. Those guys have now gone through the initial pilots and they're starting to ramp up. And then there was a third group that said, we recognize it, thank you, we're going to build our own program, which is also a legitimate strategy. Some, put in a lot of effort, time and money to build it, and they've got a really bespoke custom program for their organization. But we do find that's almost aimed at the data analyst level. It's not for the business user as much. They're almost trying to teach business people technical basic skills. And there's other dimensions around data literacy, communication, creative thinking, advanced analytics, storytelling that you do need to bring into the curriculum, not just the skills. You need the knowledge, you need the skills, and you need the soft skills. Your thoughts on that? Are you seeing similar trends in the rest of the world around adoption?
What's interesting to me is I think you're nailing it. But the key is, I would say all of that, it's great. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. I think where businesses struggle to really get this to take off, and data professionals and data literacy leads, you get so excited, you know that this needs to happen. But where businesses need to really get, this comes back to senior leaders and their ability to understand what it takes to do this, is do they have the ability to really prioritize which data initiative? You can't boil the ocean. So which data initiative should I start with? Is it starting here? Is it starting there? Is it starting here? Can you do 2 or 3 in parallel? And I don't think that's bad. Sometimes I think what needs to happen is, let's say this group here, we're invited to go to a company. They know they want to do this, but they're like, oh my gosh, our data governance is a mess. This has got to be 3-6 months down the road. Imagine if we sat there and said, what if we can help you speed that up? We will take some of that work on, and instead of 3 months to get your data governance, it only takes 1. I think sometimes as data professionals, data literacy leads, you sacrifice some of your program to build a better relationship so that your program can succeed more. So in the workshop I did this week here in South Africa, the conversation at one point was talking about different priorities. We have, and it isn't even necessarily data priorities. Imagine going to the chief marketing officer for a company, and that chief marketing officer just had to restructure their organization and lay off 20%. And you're trying to sell to a CMO data literacy. Not the good timing. So there's an aspect of data literacy that I think AI may have forced a little bit, or it's always been there, and that's the emotional intelligence, EQ side of all of this, that data professionals have to get to and senior leaders do, and data literacy leads do, that says, I need to be able to understand their whole big picture to see where it fits. Imagine going to a company and saying, you know what? They know you need data literacy, but let's wait 6 months. Here's why. And then they're like, oh my gosh, you're not pushing the sale. You're understanding my need. So last week before I came to South Africa, I went to Nike's headquarters in Oregon in the United States. And the first workshop or day I spent with them was all the way back in maybe April. I think we were going to bring me back in May. They had big changes come through. I didn't go back until September because the restructuring that took place was big. Many people lost jobs like that. So the mood and atmosphere is not the right timing for me to go in and do a workshop. It might not have as much value. Here we are in September. couple months have been removed, a month has been removed, maybe the attitudes are shifting. So to your point, I think every one of those is valid. And the word I joke is the word is depends. And it really does depend on the situation. But data professionals and senior leaders have to have a good grasp on emotional intelligence, data intelligence, and AI intelligence at this point. And how do you fit these things into the bigger picture? Some companies may really be excited. We have to have the ability to tell them, this is 6 months down the road. Let's chat. And in the meantime, how can we help you achieve these other priorities?